What's going on, guys? Young 46. It's June. We're in the quarterly virtual tour event, which is the Kiawah Championship. It's a 3-rounder. The first round, heavy wins, very fast greens. We've got a couple players in at 18 under, so let's give it a crack and see what we can do here. I'll do my best to talk you through the whys and hows and what I'm thinking here. Alright, so first hole we see we've got a headwind. We see we've got the pin, the easier pin, the front pin placement. So that tells me that we have a very good shot at making birdie here. And in terms of placements, I know that I do not want to be left of the pin. And that's pretty much it. Left and short left. If I'm anywhere else, I'm good. So left and short left, I know can be tricky putts. It's not to say they're overly hard, but on this green they are certainly the hardest. So it's the most difficult putts with that pin placement. So we've got, about 107. 107, so I'm going to put almost full top on my 56 wedge. And we are definitely not going to miss left of the pin, so that's the good news. So we missed short right. Short right is acceptable. Short left's really the only semi-tricky putt. Everything else is kind of what you see, what you get right here. We see a little bit of break on both sides. So we see a little bit of break. That tells me that we can go ahead and hit this 9 feet. And we don't even have to worry about playing any break. Solid. And misdinged it slightly. Even though had I dung it, had I hit the ding, it would have gone in. Alright, so good start. Now we see an interesting tailwind here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clear the second level of the fairway here. And it's kind of a risk reward tee shot, but to me it's worth it. It's going to be very hard for me to hold that first fairway with that tailwind. So it makes more sense for me to just try to carry it into the second fairway.
That's a huge drive.
And we were able to do that. Now we've got our wind has shifted a little bit, as you can see, and it's not such a straight tailwind. Now it's more side to side. This is very beneficial for us because now we have a greater chance of being able to hold the green. Okay. So in terms of our yardage, we've got 185. It's a good yardage. It's not phenomenal, but it's good. We want to land this short and factor in about 3 to 4 yards of release. Okay. So we are going to play this a little over 97%. So again, we want this to land short of the pin. It doesn't have to be a ton short. And then we want it to release up. That one I misdinged. That's going to kill the distance. So that's kind of why we're in that situation. It's probably going to roll off, which is a huge missed opportunity for me here. Absolutely huge. It's got to be one that you make eagle on for sure. But that's not to say we can't pitch this in. I have a tendency of making these, so that's a good thing. I'm going to put about half back on. Half back, play a little bit for the wind. So half back, a little bit for the wind. We've got it lined up. Did he make it? Oh! Like I said, I got a tendency of making those. So good eagle. It's really not a hard shot. It really isn't. If you just learn to play it, learn your spin, all those things. There are certain holes where you can't play halfback, but when you're uphill like that and you can be pretty aggressive, then chances of making those for your better players are going to be pretty high, actually. So good eagle. Good eagle, not exactly how we drew it up, but it's an eagle nonetheless. Alright, so for this hole we've got about 67 yards. So we've got a pretty good club in here. I'm going to back off of this just a hair, not even that much. I might get a little release. It might release long. This could very well go 2 or 3 feet past. That's okay. Did it go 2 or 3 feet past? Yeah, 2.2. Pretty much been high though. So that's pretty easy. So those are kind of your easy holes right there. Your first 3 are the ones where you should be 3 or 4 under coming out of them. Now we get to what I would consider to be the first real difficult hole. So this is kind of when the course starts, in my opinion. I'm going to hit a 3 wood. So I'm hitting 3 wood. Reason being, it's very easy to run through this fairway, and then you're 20-25 rough, trying to hold an approach that's kind of tight, actually. So I'm going to hang back. I'm hanging back a lot further than I probably should be. To be honest, I don't necessarily want to be this far out. But it works out to be a very nice full shot for me. And a full shot's more important to me. Hitting a 5-iron full, to me, is better than hitting a 6-iron at, say 92%. Just in terms of spin. Obviously, the more full I can hit the shot, the more backspin I'm going to impart. So we want full shots if we can. And that's exactly what we got here. Oh, got the shot we wanted, just didn't execute well. So it wasn't very well executed. And because I misdinged it so bad, it just absolutely killed the distance on this hole. So that's unfortunate. 40-50 is not, it's really not a bad thing out of here. I have options. So we're uphill again. The difficult part here is going to be in how it's going to release out, right? I think probably the best way to do it is play a flop. I could very easily pitch it up, but then we start to become at the mercy of the roll, and I don't know if I feel comfortable playing this much break with that. So I'm thinking we flop and we land this thing at like 6 yards. So we land it at like 6 yards, and it's not going to release a ton. It shouldn't anyway, just because we're going uphill already, So about right here should land 6.5 yards. Oh, gave it a good aggressive look there. Just didn't quite play enough break, but that's okay. Luckily we made the eagle on 2, so kind of had a shot buffer, I guess you could say. Obviously we wouldn't want to use it. 10 under would be a nice front 9. All right, so here's the next difficult par 3. It's just a difficult hole in general. And the biggest thing about it is if you miss ding, you get these wild distance variations, at least with the 90s. I've heard people that play the Kiaways don't get them. I definitely do. I get wild distance variations here. So in terms of our distance, we want to land this thing short. So because we're hitting a 4-iron, it's going to hit and it's going to release for a while. So we're going to have to use a little bit of release from the hill if we want to try to knock it tight. So in terms of this shot, we're only going to hit it about 97.5. And we hope we land, 6 or 7 yards short. 6 or 7 yards short would be ideal. And then we use the hill to bring it down. That's kind of what we did, but I pushed it, so we came off of the line we wanted to go on. It's an uphill putt, but it's going to be a difficult one. So it's not just a step up and ram it in. We're going to have to really think about the line here. Try to put ourselves in a good position to make this putt. And I'm thinking it's probably going to break, all of a grid, I would say. I'd say it's a grid all day. Maybe just inside the grid. So maybe like right there. It doesn't seem like it'll break that much, but I just have a gut feeling that it is going to break that much. Yep. Okay. So just inside the 1 grid, and it's a big birdie there. Big birdie to keep the round going. All right, we got a good tailwind here. I'm gonna take a really aggressive line. This may be too aggressive, but I'm okay with that. Even if we go in the rough, it's either gonna be 30-40, or it's gonna be 20-25, and we're only gonna have 120 yards in or something like that. So it's worth it to me. Yeah, 120.
That's a huge drive.
127. So 127, and we've got a tailwind. This hole tends to play a little bit shorter. So I have, like 121 in. 121, I'm thinking pitching wedge about right here. Okay. So I took about a yard, maybe a yard and a half off of what I would normally play. There. Would have been nice if I'd have dinged it. Never know, that might have had a chance to go in. Had I been able to ding it. So we got a pretty straight putt here. Not much to it. Just gonna hit it like it's about 4.5 feet. Ram it in. And ram's kind of a relative term. Obviously that doesn't look like I just pounded it in, but I didn't deduct any for tournament 11, I guess is what I should say. Alright, so we've got a choice here. We can try to carry all this, and I know we can. I'm 99% sure with full backspin that I can carry all this if I ding it, which I did. So that should leave us a pretty short approach shot in here.
That's a huge drive.
That was pretty big wind right there. Definitely helped us. And I'm thinking 4-iron. I don't have to land it too far. We see it's like 198 right there. I could probably get there with a 5. I think a 5-iron would just be perfect in this situation. But I'm also nervous because I don't want to leave it short. So maybe I take a little bit of spin off, just to make sure I can reach the green. I just want to land it just on the front. And it's a really good spot to land it, but it's going to release back, unfortunately. Needed about another yard, and that could have been just phenomenal. Although that's a good shot. I'd take that 10 out of 10 actually. So I'm very happy with that shot. We kind of see the break doing. If we're looking closer, to here, it's breaking off to our left, and then it begins to break to our right as we get right here. The meat of this putt's going to be right here. So this isn't going to factor in as much, right? So we're not going to play, we're almost going to treat it kind of like it's not even there, to be honest. So I'm not really paying a whole lot of attention to that break. So I think it's either going to be here, or it's going to be like right here. It's just, how is this break going to affect it? And I just don't see it affecting it a lot, to be honest with you. I'm not seeing it. I'm not sold. Okay. So that worked out well. Big eagle there. 2 eagles. Too bad we had the silly par. Silly par. Okay, so fun hole here. I like this hole. A lot of people don't. I think it's one of the funner tee shots you can have anyway. You can have a lot of cool things happen here. You can also have a really bad putt. And into this wind, we're going to take a gamble. So we're going to play a little bit more wind than we normally would. Because what I want to have happen is I want to land it pin high or just slightly past. And then hopefully we're going to spin it back. And we're going to put this sucker tight. So I'm right in between. Right in between clubs here. I could go with a 5. I could definitely go with a 5. But I'm going to be sacrificing spin. So I've got to keep that in mind. But I'm going to go with it anyway. That should be pretty good. So we want it to go a little bit past the pin. Oh, and that's the part I was saying about sacrificing spin. We took that little bit of spin off. I probably should have just hit it full. A full spinning 5-iron there is probably just absolutely beautiful. And it goes, it lands somewhere right here probably, and then it spins back to the hole. It's the best way if you're trying to hold a shot. It's the best way to hole out on this hole, in my opinion. Or you could take spin off. I could have played like half spin, and I could have tried to land it here and release it down. But that's a gamble, because if it gets hung up, it ends up way over here, and you have this sharp breaking putt, which, hindsight being what it is, we kind of have a sharp breaking putt now. So I think it's gonna be just slightly less, slightly under half a grid here, slightly under half a grid of break. See a lot of break at the beginning, and then it just kind of dies down. So that's the line I'm feeling anyway. And we're gonna hit this a little over 27%. It's kind of died off a little bit, so it was probably just slightly over a half grid of break, or that could have been the line. We just didn't hit it firm enough. I kind of wanted to put that past the pin, and I wasn't able to do that, so that's unfortunate. Had a good run on the fives. Just need to get better on those threes. That's eagles on the fives and pars on both the threes, so that's very disappointing, especially considering I hit a ding on that last tee shot, so a little disappointing.
That's a huge drive.
But we got to move on. So we move forward from it. Short memory. We're going to bury this one. So we've got about 125. This hole plays kind of funky. So it's one of the many funky holes at Kiawah. I'm going to actually, so when I'm playing an 8-iron, I subtract 2.5 yards. When I'm playing a 9-iron, I add 2 yards. So it's kind of weird how that works, but it tends to be the way it works. And that's going to be, should be bad, but it's actually looking kind of good. Got lucky on my miss hit there. That should have been way right. It's one of those things. And this seems to be a hole where I get away with miss hits a lot here. I'm just going to hit this 3.5 feet. Alright. So 27 on the front. Could have been 25. It's definitely could have been a 25. Would have been a little smarter. Oh well. Okay, so here, we're gonna have probably a 9-iron in. A 9-iron, and we've got to think about the way this. It's a very tricky pin. So you can get in trouble even on short putts here. You can have some crazy putts. Left of the pin's not bad. Left and maybe a little short. What we have to consider is a little bit of release. I think we're going to get release out of this because we're hitting an 8. So we're looking at potential release. So we want to play it a little less. Normally I would play it 96.5. And I'm just going to play it slightly under 96%. Because I think I'm going to get about a yard of release out of this. Yikes. Wow. Okay. And it's just one of those holes. It shot long. Shot quite long. It's almost like the wind didn't even affect it. Tough putt. So we've got a tough little putt here. Go grid. I think a grid looks good. I think it might actually be a little more than a grid. I don't think it is actually. It might just be a grid. Although we just got a ton of break here. Could go out here. Out here looks pretty good. I think that's the one. That's the one. That is not the one. It probably was. Probably wasn't even a grid actually. So, it's a tough one. Tough one to swallow when you make par on thin there, no doubt. We got an eagle opportunity at 11 though. See if we can just keep making eagles too. Make up for these silly pars. Not happening. It's unfortunate, but we had good luck on the front 9, so I can't be too upset. So definitely a 3-shotter. Misting with the wind, so that's fine. Last thing I want to do is misting going the way the wind is, so in this case it would be late. Just want to make sure we hit the fairway. We're not reaching the green anyway. Could get aggressive. I think into this wind I could definitely probably get aggressive and maybe carry. I might be able to carry the bunker. It's a risk, but I don't think it's a huge risk. That'll be fine. Yeah, we kicked out a little bit. And that's what I'm saying. It's not a huge risk because if we are in the rough there, we're only 29 yards away. Yeah, it's 40-50, but it's worth it in my opinion. You know, I'm thinking in terms of release, we want to land this between 25 and 26. So 25, 26 yards should be good to go. There's a potential to hold this for sure. But you gotta hit the ding. Probably doesn't go even if I hit the ding though. It's a nice easy little birdie here. And it definitely pays. If you've mapped your wedges out of 40, 50 rough, 30, 40, 20, 25, 25, 30, then it's all pretty simplistic. The only thing you have to gauge is the release, and that's going to vary from hole to hole. So if you don't know your release, that's where you'll run into the issues.
That's in the garden spot.
Okay, so now we start the next two holes. I just call the weird holes. I don't have a good term, but they frustrate me to no end because they just play so damn weird. I normally add about 2 to 3 yards to them. So, with that being said, I'm going to play this about 160. Right, 160 normally. So it's 160 if I don't play anything. And I think, being it's a tailwind, I won't. Normally in a headwind I'll add a couple, but in this case I won't. I'm just going to play it straight up as it should be. It looks like I didn't play enough wind, unfortunately. Distance was pretty good though. Distance was spot on, we just didn't play enough wind. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a right to lefter. Nothing too major here. Don't see anything too big about this putt, honestly. You know, I'm seeing probably like right here. Right here, hit it kind of firm, 30, 32, something like that. So we'll hit it 32 because we do have a headwind. A little bit of a pull should be good. I was going to ding that, and last second I just felt like because I was hitting it a little more firm, because I'm hitting into a headwind, that I needed to take off a little bit of break. I kind of do that on the fly a lot, and most of the time it works out. Alright, so here's the other weird hole. And we've got 2 more weird holes left on the backside, in my opinion. I've practiced them a lot, enough to know. I mean, technically it could be me on distance, but unlikely because of the variation of clubs I've hit into it. So we've got 136, and normally what happens is I ding this and it goes long. I'm erring to the right, because to me, right of the pin is a pretty easy putt, especially short right. So short right's not a very difficult putt. 136 is an awkward yardage for me personally. So I'm going to take a little bit off, and I'm just going to almost hit a neutral 9. So I'm almost going neutral 9, just a tad bit of backspin. And if it ends up short and right, I can live with that. And it ends up short and right. And this putt is practically straight. So I always try to put myself over here if I can. And even though it's, you know, it's 12 feet uphill one, it's such a flat putt. It's literally better than having some of these putts from 3 or 4 feet away. You know, 4 feet back here is a bender. So it's much better to be here than to be there, in my opinion. And we see a little bit of breakaway, but it's such a negligible break right here. I'm just going to hit this. You know, we're going to go like 18%. So 18%. We're going to go like right there. I'm going to go 19 just to be safe. Last thing I want to do is leave this thing short. Okay, so it's such an easy putt. If you can put it there every time, you know, and it's the same putt, so your make percentage is just through the roof. As long as you can hit your ding, it's a very, very makeable putt. Okay, so this hole, it's going to play somewhere around 230. So what I have to be careful of is wind, and it tends to be a little windier than what it says. So I'm playing it as if it's just kind of a straight right to left wind here. So we're not adding, or we're just adding a little bit more wind here. And I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room, good, for goodness sake. And still it's going to go left to the pin and short. And it's another one, same one of those holes where if I ding it, it's probably pin high. But because I misdinged it, and I misdinged it into a heavy wind, it's really going to cut off the distance here. Let's see what we've got. Thinking somewhere around here. Somewhere right around here should be pretty good. I think that's actually a good line right there. I like it. We're going to pull the trigger on her. We got a little bit of a headwind, so I'm going to add a little bit more than I normally would. Okay.
Great roll.
Alright, so good bird. This hole, the tricky part is the putt. Luckily, it's not the back left pin. The back left pin, you get that weird view, and it can be difficult to make a putt because it's a funky view. But with this pin, it's pretty straight up. It's almost kind of what you see is what you get. So that's obviously the best one to have, in my opinion. In terms of distance, we got a really good yardage in. So we've just got a nice full 7-iron. Should be just spot on, maybe a little bit short. It's definitely going to be short now because we didn't ding it. Looks like it might be carrying a little more. Nope. Looked like it was going to go long. That's not a bad putt. Short left is not bad at all. So we've got a very makeable putt. We see that the majority of the break, I'm not sure why it kicked me out of full screen mode, but we see that the majority of the break comes at the end here. So if I want to alleviate most of that break, all I have to do is just play it at speed. So if I just hit it 8.2, we're not going to get a lot of that break. Now, the flip side to that is you need to hit a ding. Now if I had a ding that's definitely in. So that's unfortunate. That's a very, very, very makeable putt that you've got to make 100% of the time. And that's huge. Huge to miss that putt. So nothing we can do now. We got a 3-shot hole here. Into this one we can't reach, unfortunately. But we may be able to hole out a pitch or a punch, whatever we're left with here. So that was kind of a goofy par there.
That's a huge drive.
Goofy par. I'm going to play this a little left, so we're going to go a little left of the pin. We don't have a shot of reaching the hole. I'm going to put a little bit of top, just in case we magically luck into a good kick or something. But in all likelihood, we'll have 20 yards or so. Yeah, we got a pretty good kick, actually. It's an excellent kick. So that puts us in pitch territory, and we're uphill pitch, so we can be quite aggressive into this pitch. We see the dots are going from our left to right, and the wind is going from our right to left, so I think they will essentially cancel each other out. So we can go pretty aggressively at this. I hate to leave that short. I really thought that was going to release out a little bit more than it did. That's unfortunate. So didn't get an aggressive look. I feel like the line was excellent. Had the distance been correct, we may have pitched that in, I think. Alright, 2 to go. Okay, so we've got another treacherous shot here. This is another one that can get away from you pretty quickly. If I misding this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a 3-wood. I'm going to hit the 3-wood. I'm just going to choke down. I think I mostly do that just because I feel like if I misding this, like I just did, the distance I'm going to lose isn't as great as like a 3-iron here. Okay. So that worked out well. Had I tried to hit a 3 with, 3/4 back, whatever, half back, whatever it was, and I misding it, I'd end up over here. And this is not the place you want to be. Anywhere here, you can pretty much make a half circle all the way to here back. And the putt is pretty simplistic, but when we start talking about here, here, back here, here, and over here, we get a lot of weird breaks, and especially if we end up over here, we don't have a reverse view because of the water. So it can get a little dicey trying to read those putts. So all in all, I'm not upset with where I went. We got ourselves a maker. We'll look at it. And I like to line up my dots in line with the pen, so then I can easily gauge and just kind of see what they are doing. And I think it's definitely going to come off the pen. We've got to play it a little outside the cup, maybe. I think maybe right here would be just a really good line. Yeah, I'm thinking right here we're going to keep it inside the cup. And we're going to play it slightly under 9 feet.
Great roll.
Okay, right down the pipe. So 15 under, 16 under, you know, still puts us 2 shots off the lead, but I'm pretty happy with that round, considering, you know, we were saved by some eagles and made some goofy pars. Missed the easy putt, easy little 8-foot putt, so that's unfortunate. We're gonna have a little ways in here. Little ways in. We're in 3-wood territory, so we're not gonna be able to reach it with our 3-iron. We're gonna have to go at it with a 3-wood, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we will make do with it. So I've only got to hit this. It's kind of like a tap 3-wood, I guess you could say. I really don't have to put much on it, just because I'm so in between. And this is kind of the downside to having a medium high flighted 3-wood. I need to land this a little short, so I'm taking a gamble here, and I'm trying to play some release. So I can't go right at it because I'll just end up going long. It's kind of a tough putt, so I need it to release just a little bit. And it released out pretty well. That is a pretty good spot. So I hung back a little bit, just trying to play that release. So here we've got 5.5 feet, and I'm just going to hit this 5.5 feet. So what I can do, and what I normally like to do on these, rather than trying to gauge, you know, is a break here, is a break here, I'm just going to play it inside the cup, and I'm going to miss ding, because it's easier for me to miss ding, obviously. Dinging is the hard part. So I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it 6 feet, okay, and then I'm just going to miss ding somewhere out here. And that can be pretty, you know, it doesn't have to be like pinpoint where I miss ding. And that's an easy way to handle those little breaking putts. And I think if you do that, you'll find your make percentage will go up pretty good. All right, so we got a 56, 29 on the back, 9 under on the front. Obviously, the 2 eagles saved our butts. 4 was, I think, a big push. I think it was a big push and missed the green. 8 was a good tee shot. We dinged it, but I took some spin off my 5 and tried to play a shot I probably shouldn't have. And that's probably one you only want to play with full back. So kind of got bit on that one. Let's see, 10 was just, I took a little bit off of it and it ended up going way long, so it was kind of crazy. And 15 was a missed, very simple putt. I should have shot 55 for sure. Say that, but you know, maybe we don't make one of these eagles and we end up shooting 56 anyway. So we'll look at our stats. 12 birds, 4 pars, 2 eagles. Obviously the 4 pars sucks. We hit all the fairways. 6.9 average distance to the pin. That's not bad. That's pretty good, especially for Kiawah, for me personally. I know a lot of people find it easy. It's not necessarily one of the courses I like to play. And of course we missed the one shot on 4, I think. Let's see, we had 14 1-putts, 3 2-putts. That's a good number. I'm pretty happy with that. Total distance of putts made wasn't too bad, but our longest putt was only 14 feet, so that's that. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe pick up a tip or two. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, as always, feel free to comment.